What are you doing?
Oh my god.
I don't even know what's going on.
Don't forget our gift cards at RitaYanez.com, and so am I. Under your bed.
Turn on the light! Turn on the light! Turn on the light!
Hi there, Aquarius. This is your weekly reading for the week of November 30th. I hope that your holidays are off to a great start. We're still coming off of that energy from the Uranus-Pluto square, which isn't exact. It's separating, but we're still feeling it. We will till about the end of the month. Also, on Sunday, we had the Sun in Sagittarius squaring Neptune in Pisces with the Sun conjunct Saturn in that same house, which, you know, that wasn't a whole lot of fun. And especially some big changes might have been noticeable to you with regard to your friendships, your associations, the groups that you hang with. Maybe you're part of the Kiwanis Club and there was some funky, nerdy dysfunction going on. Whatever it was, you probably saw that. Or here we start off the week with whatever it is that's going on. So with that said, on Monday, we've got the Eight of Swords in reverse, and you might have realized that, hey, you're going to have to think yourself through this, and that getting through the quagmire just requires thinking your way out. It really isn't a very difficult thing to do, although having to think your way through a situation when you're young and you don't have all of the experience that the crotchety old people have, it looks like it could be a little difficult, but it is a learning curve. Live life, live hard, live fully, and you'll see that you gain experience every moment of the day. You just don't want to put yourself at risk of too many experiences that are dangerous to your health. Like, no, I don't think you should be parkouring over cars on a freeway, because of course I could just one mistake and we got a major problem. I know that's weird. I haven't heard about anybody doing any new parkour stunts, and that always scares the junk out of me. I think I'd rather see videos on YouTube of old people falling than I do to see people who are parkour artists banging their heads against the bottom of a sidewalk at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and bleeding. So, it's so weird. It just scares the crap out of me. On Tuesday, the card you've drawn is the Three of Pentacles, and this could be where this little hitch in the giddy up is, where somebody was criticizing you and you might have felt sensitive about it. Nobody really likes criticism. As we get older, we learn to take constructive criticism better and better. If I can, anyone can, because I am so oversensitive you don't even know. But there's a difference between criticism to help you and criticism to hurt you and chip away at your confidence. So you probably won't appreciate that much. On the same day, we've got Mercury in Sagittarius trining Uranus in Aries, which could make it so that you feel like you have to almost defend yourself. You feel like you want to stand up for yourself and say, hey, look, that right there wasn't cool. For you younger people, that's where I actually see the energy leading to. Maybe you have to stand up for somebody else who's the underdog, and you're the only one who's there to defend them or champion them, and it could be you. Mercury in Sagittarius squaring Chiron in Pisces. Also, your solar second house. Be careful, because you could have a friend who's trying to borrow some money, and you know what I say, if you can't afford to give it to them, then you can't afford to lend it, because it could really wreck a relationship, a friendship, if you end up lending them some money or lending out a favorite tool of yours, and like a hair tool, or some makeup or some clothing. And happened to me once where somebody wrecked a jacket, basically an overcoat. It was more decorative. It was, for Southern California nights, and somebody else ruined it. And I thought, wow, how did she jack up my coat? And she's like, oh, it was that way when you gave it to me. Bullshit. It was in perfect condition. So also we have Mercury in Sagittarius sextiling Apollo and Libra, which is your ninth house. And again, there could be some issues maybe for those of you that are applying for colleges or looking for college funding. It is a timeline for FAFSA grants and for other application processes, but it doesn't mean that you have to feel like just because you're starting it and it's getting kind of difficult to do because you don't have the right support at home. You can get support at the local college if you can get there. Maybe people in your high school setting can help you, some counselors there too. Sun is Sagittarius, sextiling Aries and Aquarius, your solar first house, is saying that there's an issue here that might become a power struggle. Again, lending things to your friends, if you don't mind, if you never give it back, lending money that you don't mind just giving it to them as a gift because it could hurt the relationship, causing a kind of power struggle. It looks like it could be smoothed over, but it could go either way because Venus is talking with Mars in Virgo, that same 8th house of, joint resources. Or maybe if you and your girlfriend went in together, you and your guy friend went in together on a set of exercise equipment, some free weights, maybe the girls with some sewing machines and or some other electronic devices, and now they can't even figure out how they're going to share these items that they thought was going to be easy to do. Mercury in Sagittarius trining Minerva and Leo here is asking you to, be smart about it. If it's a shirt that someone lent the other, let the shirt go. Just learn your lesson and never lend it out again. Anything else, just say, yeah, look, my mom found out about it and she won't let me lend it out. I'm not allowed to just lend my stuff out because she found out I didn't get the other item back. That way, it's kind of a white lie, but it will protect the relationship. Mercury and Sagittarius will sextile Cupid and Libra, and this is the kind of energy that gives us some temporary satisfaction, but it's really not going to be permanent. So also that could indicate for those of you that are applying for colleges, that kind of thing, for funding, that you think you're going to a college on the other side of the country or maybe in another country, and then you find out you're only going to be about 2 blocks from home because it isn't working out the way that you expected. That's fine. Let the universe work with you. Wednesday, we've got the energy of the 7 of Cups, and the 7 of Cups says there are a lot of choices out there for you guys specifically. It means that there's a lot of decisions that you need to make, and they're all exciting, so don't let it become overwhelming. Don't let it upset you. Don't get nervous about it. Go with the flow. Relax, or as my dad used to say, relax, and let things fall into their own natural order. You don't really have to worry too much about anything else. I mean, the most we've got to worry about here on Wednesday is Mercury in Sagittarius is opposing Psyche and Gemini, Gemini being your solar 5th house. That, okay, so we could have a relationship that's a little bit blah, blah, blah. Maybe it's going to transform into a friendship. Maybe a friendship transforms into a relationship that's romantic. But remember, with Cupid and Libra, it may not last that long anyway. You may find that this person's going away to college and you're the one staying closer, or you're leaving, they're staying close, vice versa. Just enjoy the moment for what it's worth. Don't think too much about anything else. On Thursday, the card that you've drawn here is a Hierophant in reverse, which is weird because, of course, it means that we need to think inside the box and do things in a more traditional Saturnian way. At the same time, we need to think outside the box so we get a better perspective of what the thing is on the inside of the box. It's almost like a screwy riddle, that I'm trying to make sense of for you, and I can't even do it. So, think about it that way. There's something here that needs to be reined in, maybe to make a good impression on somebody that you're applying for a job with. You got to cover up some of the weirdness. It is an individual thing, but remember, you're trying to get hired and get a paycheck. If you show up with a hole in your face the size of Texas because you did that cheek weirdness, then I think you're going to try to just need to take whatever job you can to pay for the plastic surgery to correct it, because it frightens people. And think about it. And I'm not trying to be hard on you guys for experiencing individuality and expressing yourself, but there's something here, especially it hit close to home when I saw what people were doing to their faces. I've only seen the one cheek gauging that I've seen it in the nose as well on the internet. I personally don't know anybody who's done more than gauging their ears, and now they've got that need for plastic surgery because it looks like it's going to turn into a sloppy butthole, and that costs money. Insurance will not pay for it unless you got in a fist fight with some chick and they yanked on it, something like this. So remember something though, that no one in their right mind is going to hire a person who has to interact with the public if they're frightening to people, men, women, children, and grandparents. Remember that it's not fair to do that to yourself and limit your options. If you've already done this, try to reverse the process. Understand that maybe your first job isn't going to go toward paying for a new car or getting some kind of transportation. You're probably going to be needing to save money or to get some help to correct these things in your face. There could be some social services, like in a lot of places in the world, or especially here in the United States. I know for sure, I've heard about it in other countries, where if you have some unfortunate tattoos that happened because you were drunk or somebody kicked your ass or held you down, or, it sounded like a good idea at the time. I know that there are projects related to gang related tattoos or things such as this, but there might be some way to get some help to get these things removed so that you can improve your chances at getting hired by the right people, because look, you probably can't even get hired at McDonald's with that kind of thing going on because it frightens people and it's kind of disgusting. So I think I'm just throwing this in there because it's one of those things that would be kind of a hierophant in reverse, that a person has really strayed from what even is socially appreciated, right? Who wants to have a server with holes in their face delivering food items to you when we're thinking, boy, your germs are just flying right outside of your face. So keep in mind, this is kind of an energy that's difficult to define. And for children, young people, you guys being so brilliant, I really don't know, of course, what your natal chart looks like or what your home life, your circle of friends, your environment is. But remember, just because somebody pressures you into doing something to your face or putting bumps under your skin, it's probably not going to serve you very well in the future. And everybody says, well, I don't care because I'm going to become a tattoo artist. Well, that's great, but you probably won't be able to support yourself unless you become really successful or famous. And then what if something happens to your hands in an accident and you can't do tattoos? Now what do we do? So just remember to think ahead. This is just a little bit of help because I know so many of you guys are applying for colleges and getting ready to go to college now. Magic year here for you seniors, even juniors that are aligning yourselves to be prepared for what you need in terms of going for the last few scholarships, that kind of thing, college credit courses. So I know that there's a lot of you thinking about this. And again, I'm not saying that it makes a person bad to have holes in their face that weren't there when they were born. It just makes it difficult then for people to give you these opportunities. Because if I've seen people with that split tongue thing, again, only in pictures, not in real life, and I'm like, you scare me. I don't even know if I want you around my kids to babysit them. I'm uncomfortable with this. So, of course, that's a matter of perspective. But imagine if you were the parent with the little vulnerable baby and you're going to hand your baby over to a kid with something going on under his forehead that looks like Satan. You're probably like, yeah. No. And even if you don't know what that feels like, because it's going to be another 20 years before you have children, sooner or later you'll remember what I'm telling you here. On Friday, the Nine of Wands is a card that indicates that you're feeling a little bit on guard. It could be that you're feeling like, hey, God, I don't even know where the next bullshit is going to fly in the window. I don't know what direction it's coming from. That's understandable because you've had some difficulties. The last few years have been a little bit rough, and the older you are, the more clearer you will understand what those things were, the more obvious what it is that happened is. So with that said, Mercury and Sagittarius will square Jupiter and Virgo. And here again, we've got this idea that there is something going on related to social groups of people, what's socially acceptable, what is not socially acceptable, and in a hard angle there to Jupiter and Virgo saying, hey, look, you put us in a hard place. You're mad because you want the job and you were qualified and didn't get it. And we said because those things in your ears and you refused to take them out. And then what do we do with you? Maybe this becomes a potential health hazard. And so you're like, you know what? Right here, this is where it stops. I'm going to figure out what I need to do to get it changed. So again, it might have something to do with the social groups that you move with, but it also has something to do with conforming to what is acceptable to put you in front of other people so that you can either serve them, be of service to them. Because even when you're going to college, unless you come from a very wealthy family, you're going to need a job to be able to exist. And of course, remember, your appearance is going to matter. And even though it shouldn't be such a big deal. If you work behind a customer service desk on the phone and nobody sees you, that might be the type of job that you can get. As long as nobody sees it, you'll be fine. But those jobs aren't always available in all places. So we don't want to blow our chances of getting what we need while we're on the path to creating whatever we want to do. Now, you make it to superstardom and you want to put like a great big horn in the front of your head, like a unicorn or something, you go for it, because at that point, you're able to take care of yourself. A level of fame or infamy has been there to pad your bank account. And then, okay, so do whatever you want to do. We've heard of weirder things. Nothing, hardly anything surprises me anymore. So trust me, just because I'm almost half a century year old doesn't mean I'm blind. I see it, I think about it, I experience it. I was very nonconformist in my own way when I was a teenager, but I had a conservative family. So I was the type of person who didn't even like the fact that some girls that I knew I worked with at an accessory shop, they pressured me into sitting in the chair. I didn't want double piercings. I ended up letting them close up because I hated it so much. But there are some pictures of me with diamonds and pearls, which was the only way I could make that damn thing classy. And then I was so upset that I didn't stand up and kick one of them in the crotch and say, I don't want it. How about I don't want it? I don't care that it's free. I only want to wear one earring at a time on each lobe. So I still have some resentment for those people, but I also realized that it was my fault for not standing up for myself. And then I was terrified what my mother would think. She thought it was cute, but only because I had a boyfriend to buy me good enough jewelry like diamonds, real pearls to try to class it up a notch. And now look at what people do to themselves. Saturday, we've got the Two of Swords in reverse. That makes it a little easier for you to see your way to choose. Maybe you've had some difficult choices in relation to your friends and your romantic relationships because that was stimulated when we had the full moon in Gemini on the 25th. Maybe you've been having a hard time dealing with authority or standing up for yourself at the same time, figuring out how much conformity is normal or usual and expected and how much of it is rolling over. Well, those are the things that will become clear for you over time, especially being dynamic the way you guys are. You're able to pick up on a lot of these answers much easier than the adults do. Even if you're like, yeah, pretty much no, I don't want a tattoo of Satan on my ass, because what if I bend over one day and my boss sees, oh, no, because one day, I could be married or partnered up and somebody sees that I've got, some weird bullwinkle and rocky on my leg, near my crotch, and they're wondering who was all up there tattooing you, so things will be easier for you to grasp because you're actually more fluid in that way, that the concepts are not so difficult. On Sunday, we have the Tower card, but don't worry, chill. This is just an indication that there's something here that's got to change, or something's got to give, something's got to go. So the astrology that goes with this card is, of course, Sun in Sagittarius sextiling Mars in Libra. This is a kind of energy where we feel like we could have some problems with, of course, like I said, the long distance issue. Long distance could even be the relationships. It could be communications with people. You guys are crossing wires here, as it were, where you're both, maybe you and your friends, you guys thought you'd all pledge the same frat house, and it's not going to happen because people are now moving into different directions, and you got to let that go. Could also be that there's an issue here related to custody and where you live and who you live with and how much time you spend with it. What are we going to do about it, sweetheart? At 18, you'll be in college anyway, able to make most of your decisions all on your own. People there to support you and help you understand what to do, but you'll be old enough to vote, fight, get in a fight, go to war, kill, be killed, and at that point you are able to at least make mistakes that you'll learn from, because they will be your choices and not what's imposed upon you. Sun in Sagittarius, also semi-sextile to Pluto and Capricorn, is again talking about something that's kind of hidden that is being forced to come out into the open. And it could be a little bit of a challenge because it may not be something you're comfortable with having out in the open. But what do? We just go with it. We flow with it. We do not let it become an obstacle. We just figure out how we're going to get around it, how we're going to work with it. How do we conform to the laws of the land and also the laws of the home that we're in? So Mercury in Sagittarius squaring Hygeia and Virgo is talking about the idea of maybe trying to make sense of what you can do in the future to not end up in hot water again. So let's just give the example of a kid who's living on the edge and really has no sense of how to work within the system and not end up in the clink and juvie per se. Let's pick a hard situation. This kind of energy is saying, what can you do to prevent that from happening again? Do you need to change your friends? It looks like there is a chance that that's what's going to happen anyway. You got some friends that do drugs, and then you get in trouble, or you got picked up by the cops and you were guilty by association. And here comes this entire drama that will involve your family, and not just family now, the public and your family's money that's supposed to go to pay for the rent or buy your food or buy, the supplies. And here you are in trouble again. So Hygeia wants you to find out, where is the weak link? Is it your friends? Is it the people you associate with? Or are you the weak link? Which I hardly believe is true, because you guys are just not that way in general. You guys are very stable, very forward-thinking, if not eccentric people, but you really don't like to get in trouble. That's not something that Aquarius likes to have happen to them. So I'm never really worried about you guys, because it seems like even when you do make a mistake, you're very quick to correct it and get it taken care of. Also, Mars in Libra squaring Pluto and Capricorn. I know. But remember that this is up to you to make sure that you don't get in trouble. If somebody's saying like, hey, we're going to cut out of school smoke and we're going to buy a 40 ounce, and you're like, what the hell? Tell them that you have explosive diarrhea, hemorrhoids, choose any of the above. You're on your period. You've had an accident, wrap a sweater around your pants, get the hell out of there. Also, this is an indication that these choices that you make now could take you into 2016. It's setting up what's going to happen then. So hear me out on this. It would be far better for people to think that you're like a wuss, a wimp, or a pushover, or a stupid than it would be when you're pointing the fingers and saying, now, who's stupid now? You're the one in juvenile detention, and I'm sitting here free about to go to college, and you're not. My record's clean, yours isn't. I really wouldn't get into hurting other people's feelings just because they screw up. But my words of advice and caution to you are, my friend, you guys are an intelligent bunch of people. You can't tell me that you're dumb and you don't know what you're doing because you guys are hyper intelligent. If there's anybody that could understand the universe, it would be you. So with that said, make good choices and make sure that the people that you surround yourself with are congruent to what your goals and hopes and aspirations are, lest they yank you down into the quicksand of juvenile detention.